So I already know what the comments are gonna say. Get off Drake's dick, I'm glazing. Kendrick smoked him, he doesn't write his own shit. Cool, because none of that actually addresses anything that I'm about to talk about. So I'm not making this argument as a Drake fan. I'm making it as somebody who looks at music as an industry and a business before I look at it as a fandom. And from that perspective, a lot of the Drake hate is forced. Not because you have to like Drake. You absolutely do not. But people have started confusing being tired of somebody with that person somehow never being talented, never being successful, or never deserving the position that they reached. Those are completely different arguments. And I think Drake has been dominant for so long that people are just tired of watching the same nigga dominate. Hip hop is inherently competitive. Every rapper says the same things. I'm number one, I'm the king, I got more money than you, I'm bigger than you, I sell more dope or more records than you, I'm better than you. Great. But at some point, somebody has to actually have a resume to support what they're saying. And if we're talking sustained relevance, hits, adaptability, longevity, output, cultural presence, regardless of preference, and the ability to remain competitive through multiple generations of artists, Drake has one of the strongest arguments of anybody in this generation. Now, that does not automatically mean best lyricist, best album maker, best battle rapper, best storyteller. Those are all completely different categories. Being the best artist and being the most dominant artist are not necessarily the same title. And honestly, I don't even think Drake dominates hip hop. Drake dominates Drake's lane. The problem is his lane is so fucking wide that it overlaps with almost everybody else. If you like just straight rap, bars, there's a Drake record for you. R&B, Drake record. Club music, Drake record. Heartbreak, obviously. Dance music, Drake record. Afrobeats, Drake record. UK rap, believe it or not, Drake record. Introspective shit, Drake record. So you don't have to like every Drake album because every album he makes isn't necessarily designed for you. Let's take Honestly Nevermind, for example. It ain't Benny, that's probably one of his worst albums, in my opinion. But one of my favorite Drake songs is on that album, Overdrive. And that's exactly my point. He doesn't need every product to work for every customer. He has enough product that eventually one of his songs probably works for you. And I think people underestimate how intentional that is. Drake figured out his customer. Early Drake was rapping. Go back and listen to Room for Improvement, Comeback Season, a couple songs on So Far Gone. Like, listen to that Drake. This idea that the man is just physically incapable of being lyrical has never made sense to me. I don't think Drake stopped prioritizing lyrical rap because it's just something he couldn't do. I think he figured out his core audience, and his core audience didn't require him to prove it on every record that he could rap. Only hip-hop purists really care whether somebody stays hyper lyrical for 15, 20 years straight. It's like, look at Nas. You know, Nas is still one of the most lyrical, one of the best rappers alive 20, 30 years into his career. But that's his product. That's what his audience expects. Nas isn't trying to occupy the same commercial space that he occupied in 1994. Drake built something different. He figured out which version of himself the largest number of people wanted, and he just kept giving variations of that product. And that brings us to the writing argument, because a lot of people say Drake doesn't write, and that's way too simplistic. First of all, Drake has written for other artists. Not just Beyonce and Alicia Keys, a lot of other artists, rappers included. So clearly the nigga knows how songs work. But more importantly, hip hop fans have created this weird purity test around collaboration that honestly doesn't line up with the history of hip hop. And keep in mind, you're talking to the nigga with hip hop tattooed on his collarbone. I live, breathe, eat, sleep, shit hip hop. I can rap my ass off, and I write all my own shit. I genuinely care about this shit. Hip hop was literally built by taking existing musical ideas and transforming them into something new. So for example, Kool Herc was extending break sections from old songs, other people's records, things like that, and turning them into something new. DJs manipulate records, producers sample records. I sample a lot in my beats. MCs are rhyming over production that somebody else created from somebody else. People traded ideas in rooms. Producers share rappers. Rappers share producers. Pause. Hip hop has always been recombinant. Now the pen, that's a different topic, because being an MC traditionally means your words matter. So if somebody secretly wrote every bar for you while you claim to be the greatest writer alive, I understand why hip hop would have a problem with that, because I would too. But that's not the same thing as saying if anybody contributed to this song, that person can't write. That's not equivalent. All creative business uses collaboration. If somebody can't make a part of a product better, why would you intentionally make the product worse just so you can say you did every single thing yourself? And honestly, that's Drake's entire strategy. Collaborate and outsource where it improves the product. Keep the parts you're strongest at. Release the best finished product. That's not a weakness. It's called scalability. And that's where the Jay-Z comparison comes in. People compare Drake to Jay-Z because of the amount of success he's had. But I think the more interesting comparison is their approach to the business. Jay-Z has always been a salesman. Before music, he was selling crack. Then his product became rap. He turned rap into leverage. Then that turned into his label, Rockefeller, Rockaware, brands. I think there was a freaking Jay-Z Reebok. Investments, art. The man loves Basquiat. I actually have a Basquiat on my wall over there. That was a segue. Ownership, bigger business. Jay-Z used music as a runway. Same thing with 50 Cent. Music created attention. That attention created leverage. That leverage gets deployed elsewhere. Drake took a different route. Drake basically got on the runway, took off, and said, why would I stop selling a product that's still working? So instead of using music primarily to escape making music, he doubled down on his music. More records, more features, different genres, different artists, different audiences, different markets, but the same brand. So where Jay-Z diversified his portfolio, Drake just kept scaling his flagship product. And that's why I don't think his formula is particularly mysterious. It's really not. Everybody knows what he's doing. The hard part is, or the hard part to accept anyway, is that he's been doing it consistently for this fucking long. And we've seen versions of this before. Think about when Wayne had that period when he was on everything. If Wayne did a freestyle to your song, it's a Wayne song now. If Wayne did a freestyle over your beat, that's Wayne's beat. Your remix, Wayne was on every remix. He was dropping 5-6 mixtapes a month, featured on every album, had his own albums. I personally think he died down pretty bad after the Carter 3, but you know. The point is, you couldn't escape him. That's what happens with saturation. The difference is Drake somehow stretched that whole saturation window into an era. And once somebody dominates long enough, people stop enjoying the dominance. They start waiting for the fall. And that's why Drake's rap beefs matter more than his career, because Meek Mill challenged Drake's writing, even though Drake wrote for Meek Mill. But Drake did exactly what everybody expected him to do. He fought back. And he won that battle so convincingly that Back to Back became a hit record the same way Not Like Us did. We'll get to that in a minute. He commercialized the diss track. Then he got into it with Pusha T, and that was different. Pusha attacked his brand, exposed personal information, and culturally, Drake lost that battle. Pusha changed the conversation around Drake, and that's what caused him to lose the battle. People thought that might be the thing that finally damaged the machine and would knock Drake off the top, but it didn't happen that way. But then you get into the whole thing with Kendrick Lamar, and Kendrick did something even more dangerous. K-Dot used Drake's own strategy against him. What he did is he made the diss record completely unavoidable. It was in the clubs. streaming. I remember I was in a Discord chat when Not Like Us came out, and this like the song had just came out, and my boy was like, oh shit, Kendrick dropped, and I was like, play the record, and we ran that joint back like 3-4 times. We was a hook. Oh, this is gonna kill Drake. His career is over. Because that's normally Drake's territory. So K-Dot beat Drake on the battlefield that he spent years dominating. And after that, like, basically we were holding a funeral for Drake's career, with Not Like Us being the song that we're walking out, you know what I'm saying, with his casket in our hands, with Not Like Us in the background playing. Like, there's no way he could come back from that. But then 2 years later, he drops Iceman. But this is why I think Iceman is so important, because on this album, you hear him actually back to rapping, not hiding behind a million features, not relying exclusively on a massive pop record. He's carrying the records on his own. He's getting more lyrical. He's changing his pockets. He's showing that the rapper people claim disappeared is still very much alive and well, which supports exactly what I've been saying. I don't think Drake ever stopped being capable of doing that. I think he stopped needing to do it all the time, but he knows when to pull that tool out. Pause. And that's ultimately why I think the hate is forced. Not because you're obligated to like him. You can hate his voice, you can hate his personality, you can hate his albums, you can think Kendrick is better, you can think Wayne is better, you can think Jay is better, you can think Nas is better. That's taste. Again, not the same argument. But hip hop has spent its existence telling rappers, be number one, make hits, get the money, stay relevant, outwork everybody, don't fall off, compete, adapt, become the king. And you know, then somebody checks an uncomfortable number of those boxes for an uncomfortable amount of time, and suddenly everybody starts changing the criteria. Now all of a sudden sales don't matter, hits don't matter, longevity doesn't matter, popularity doesn't matter, success doesn't matter. Okay, then what the fuck have rappers been bragging about for the past 50 years? That's the contradiction. I don't think people necessarily want somebody better than Drake, but they want somebody different than Drake. And those aren't the same thing. Take Kendrick, for example. He doesn't operate like Drake. He's not interested in giving people a commercial release every year. That's part of what makes K-Dot, that's part of his appeal. But if you're wishing for Drake to disappear so that somebody like Kendrick Lamar can replace him, let me tell you what you're actually asking for. You're saying, I'm tired of the guy who keeps showing up. Give me the guy who intentionally does not. That's different business models, different products, different lanes, and that's fine. But don't confuse fatigue with failure, because maybe the biggest problem people have with Drake isn't that he fell off. I think it's that niggas have been waiting for him to fall off for so long that they're getting irritated that he still hasn't.